Well, hello everyone, and welcome to Get Good with Storyboard. Thank you for joining us. My name is John Morley. I've been an instructional designer for a couple decades now, the last 5 years of which were with Genentech, working with Storyline. So I am now a external consultant, and if I can help you with a project, my email address is in the chat window. You can see that. Now, we are very fortunate this evening to have with us as a guest presenter, Angie Serratos.
Hi, everyone. Happy to be here.
She is a graphic designer and instructional designer. She's a frequent contributor to the eLearning Heroes. She also does web development. She is an avid learner and likes to encourage a passion for learning in her audiences. And she started her own consultancy in 2016. So you can see her email address in the chat window as well, and either one of us can help you if you need such help. Yeah, tonight we are looking at least what I'll be showing is feedback and quizzes. Good IDs know that one way to create a teachable moment is to ask a question. Humans like to show off by knowing the answer to anything, and they like to show off even if it's only to themselves. So once you ask a question, you have their attention for a moment. It is, in fact, a teachable moment, and as they go on a few moments later, they've forgotten all about it. So if we want to take advantage of that teachable moment, we need to get them while we got them, and they are still emotionally involved in knowing what the answer is. So let me show you how I do that. Okay, this is training I developed for Genentech. Fairly technical, which is to say that there are a lot of facts to remember. There's a lot of cognitive load on this. This is the title slide here. This is what's going on. And then I will, as I said, I'm going to just jump right into the middle of it and show you this. This is the screen that the operators see. So we are teaching them how to use this. This is somewhat of a simulation in that it explains what you're supposed to do, what you need to do, and then you're expected to click the button here that you would normally click to move along. Here is explanation of why you're doing this and what you're supposed to do. And if they do not know what to do when they initially hit this screen, you will see a little reminder comes out and shows them which of these buttons they need to press. So you click that, and then this shows you what is supposed to happen. The entire process is automated, so the automation moves this along, but the operator has to understand what's happening and then follow the instructions that come from the automation. This is a little bit of information on the clamps, and this is some more information on how to operate the valves. This is how to operate the pump front and back. And this is a lot of stuff to remember. So I go to refresher questions to groove in the neural pathways a little bit better. As it says here, these are not graded or recorded. And this is an open book. So I encourage learners to go back and look at the content as much as possible. Let's just step through this quickly. I'll answer this incorrectly. Hit submit and let the learner know that this is important, that they need to hit true. And then because we have this teachable moment, I add a little bit additional information about closed valves are not visually obvious, so you have to make sure they're open. Continue on. Here is something else here. Click the wrong place and it tells you this is the wrong place. And finally, it tells you, well, up here is what you need to click. Now, here is a lot of places to click here. So let's click the wrong place once. We'll click it twice. Be really obstinate. on the third try, the third time they get it wrong, there is not just a hint, but a way to go back to the content. And take a look at what happens here. This little red thing comes up here to tell the learner that it's easy to get back to the question and take another pass at it just by clicking previous. And then up here, you'll see exactly what you saw while the lesson was going on, reminding you that this is the button that needs to be pressed. Go back to previous. Here's the question. If you are really obstinate and continue getting it wrong, it lets you go back again. Otherwise, you click on the correct thing, click submit, and it gives you just a little bit more information feedback. And let's take a look at how that is done. This is the content here, and this is the quiz question or the review question down here. And you'll see down here in the layers, you have the layers, the correct, incorrect, and try again layers that Storyline gives you automatically. The layers, we add another one. I call this one go back, and this is the one that has the click here. So how do you trigger that on the third try? That requires a variable. So we'll go up here into the upper right. You'll see the little X here. I'll click on that. And you'll see we have a variable here called third try, which is in fact a number, starts with 0. Now I'll cancel out of that. And let's take a look at try again. Here on the triggers, you can see that every time learner hits the try again, we add one number to this third try variable when the timeline starts on this layer. So second trigger is once we get up to a value of 3, we go to the layer called go back, which takes you back to the, let me just, this one with the click here to go back and see the content again. So let's go back to the content, and we'll see that this information on how to get back to the quiz question is a layer that triggers only if show that layer previous to return only if this third try. So we're getting a double use out of this variable. The variable tells us both when to put that hint up and whether or not to show the little hint when we go to the content. Now, if the user is going through this normally, they would not see the information there. Any questions on how this is done, or any
I did. This is
suggestions
Jody. I did have a quick one. So on that third try variable, that's a number variable that's counting, or is that what?
Yeah, exactly. It's called
Okay,
third
see it there.
try. So go back and take a look at this.
Yeah.
Try
Oh,
again.
My picture panel's in the way. Okay,
Oh.
I've moved it now. I can see.
Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
So every time the learner gets this wrong, 1 is added to that variable. Okay. And then once that variable gets up to 3,
Greater than 3. Okay.
And this is notice the condition, the criteria is greater than or equal to. So if they keep getting it wrong, they keep getting the hint on how to go back. So let's, if you are logged in, let's do a click along here with a quick example of how to do this. So let's go up in the upper left-hand corner, click new to get a new, did you want to, oh sure, let's save that. Gee, we get a new presentation. We'll double click this. Not going to add any content here. I'm interested in a question. So let's go up to slides and let's add a graded question just to make it easy, we'll just use a true or false question. Insert that. And you'll see that, let's just say this is true. This is true. And you'll see that there's a little radio button in front of the true there. Over here in the upper right, we'll go to slide view. And we'll see that this has, as advertised, automatically created a correct and incorrect layer for us, but we want to accommodate learners who need more than one chance. So let's go up to, we'll go back to our base layer, and up here, upper left-hand corner, under scoring, we'll change attempts to unlimited. So now in the lower right-hand corner here, you can see we have a try again layer. So what we're doing here is we are going to give them 2 hints on how to answer this question correctly. That's ridiculous, not a true and false question, but that's what we're doing for the exercise. So let's just do 2 copies of that. So in the lower right on try again, select that, and all the way down here on the bottom, let's click that once and click that twice, and you'll see this gives us 2 more layers. Let's rename the first one hint 1, H-I-N-T, hint 1, and up here, just to show what we're doing, we will call this hint 1, H-I-N-T, hint 1. Okay, let's call the next one hint 2. Double click that, open it up, type in hint, H-I-N-T, hint 2. And up here on the layer itself, we will call this hint 2. Okay, now we need to count. We need a variable. So in the upper right, we hit the X, and let's, there's a green arrow up in the upper right-hand corner of that dialog box. We will click that. We will call this variable count number, C-O-U-N-T, N-U-M-B-E-R. Change the type to number, and we will start that with a 0. So, okay, click OK. And now on try again, we need to create a trigger here about halfway up the right panel. And what we want to do is adjust the variable. So down on the toward the bottom of the drop down menu, adjust variable. The variable, don't have much of a choice here. There's only one, count number. Rather than set, we want to add to it. Add a value of 1 to that variable every time the timeline starts on this layer. Okay. Now we want to also trigger hint number 2. So let's just click the trigger we just finished making, go up to the little tool thing above that where it says copy. We'll copy that, click select. Now let's open that. Double click, open it. Now we have, what we want to do here is when it opens, we want to show the layer hint number 1 when timeline starts on this layer, but now we want to add a conditional in the bottom where it says conditions. This is if the variable, where did the count number equals, what number do we want? We want 3. Okay, so now we want to accommodate hint number 2. So again, we will copy this trigger, select the trigger, go up to copy, then paste, double click the trigger to open it up. Now we're going to show layer hint number 2 when the timeline starts on this layer if the count number and we will change equal to greater than or equal to, and we will change the value to 4. So now, as with the earlier example, if they keep making the mistake, if they keep getting it incorrect, they keep going back to the most recent hint. So, a moment of truth here. Let's go up to the preview here up in the top, and we will preview this slide, see what happens. See how close we are. Okay, this is true, so we'll click false, and we'll get it wrong once. We'll get it wrong twice. And now the third time we get it wrong, we get the hint number 1. We'll try again, be really obstinate and get it wrong a third time. And now we get hint number 2. And then as long as the learner continues getting this wrong, they continue getting that hint number 2. Did anyone have trouble clicking along with this? Any questions about how it was done, why you would do this?
No, thank you.
Any comments on the power of teachable moments and how to create them? Asking.
Well, I know for me, I learn more like when I mess something up. So that's a good technique.
Yeah, there's nothing like struggle to,
Mhm.
well, I think when you make a mistake, you're frustrated. That's emotional. And
Yep.
the same area of your brain that registers emotion also is where your memories are kept. So if you have an emotional experience, you're more likely to remember what's going on. So maybe we should just frighten our learners horribly so they have that associate fear with the learning point. Okay, no further discussion or questions?
I like the idea of failing forward. I'm a firm believer in kind of ungraded tests and giving them multiple tries and giving them hints along the way to get them to the right answer. Even if they get the wrong answer by 3 times, and just telling them what the answer is. So
Right. We want to know. And one of the techniques I use is there is a graded quiz at the end of this to make sure the learner actually knows what they're doing before they go out and have millions of dollars of product entrusted to them. And what I do is the same questions that are on the review questions are also on the quiz. So I am essentially defining what are the salient facts that need to be remembered, what are the procedures that need to be done over and over again, and we hit them twice. Hit them once with review questions to make sure those neural pathways are a little bit grooved in, and then we hit them again on the graded quiz, so they are much more familiar with this information when they finally hit the floor. Oh, I see Samuel has joined us. Samuel, thank you for joining us. Samuel was a guest presenter earlier and gave us a very good presentation. Honored to see you this evening. So now let's, hi Samuel.
Hi, sorry, I got my kid with me.
Oh, good,
Yeah.
good. What's your name?
Gabrielle.
Gabrielle. Okay, hi Gabrielle. Thank you for joining us. Okay, so now I will turn this over to Angie, and we will see some good stuff from her. Angie, it's all yours.
Thank you. Yeah, you have to get them started early on Storyline, right, Samuel?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me go ahead and share my screen, and I want to show you 2 things first. So like John mentioned, I'm a graphic designer, and as a graphic designer, I've been burned way too many times by clients changing their mind last minute. So the first thing that I like to do with every project is set up my colors, my fonts, and all the good stuff so we can do any changes quickly. So the first thing that I always do is I go here in this design tab, and go to colors, and I create my own color palette. Why?
Mhm.
Because after this, it's super easy if the client ever changes their mind that those are not the brand colors, that's not the right font. It's super easy to change. And it's also super easy to then reuse your own projects as templates for other clients. So I'm a huge avid of templates. Um, so just to show you real quick, you can see how my font changed colors, my background. I have another stuff over here. Can show you quickly how easy it is to change colors for every project. You can do the same thing for fonts. Everything will change automatically by setting up your project. Basically, you're setting up your project for success and any other roadblock that you might find in the future. Um, I recently started using this thing called Textiles. It's been on for a while. I'm pretty sure all of you know it, but I didn't use it before and it changed my life because I had this massive project where in the end, the client wanted to change the size of every single font. And that was super helpful too. The way to do it, it's like something you can go
Angie, what were you recommending there just a moment ago?
Oh, sorry. So the textiles. I don't know if you guys are aware of this. I think it got launched a year or two ago.
Oh, right. Yeah, that's fairly recent. That's similar to what
Yes.
Microsoft Word does.
And it really, really changed the way that I work. Like I said, I had a client who switched their mind on the size and the font style, and it was a 3-scene project with 40 slides for each scene. So it was a real bummer for me. So the way you can do that is by creating your own head styles here. They already have some custom headings that they grab from the own design tab here for the fonts that you set up. It grabs the style from here. And the way that you can do it is you can change the different styles that you have.
And you're also able to create your own styles. You can see at the bottom there, it says add style.
Yes, and then what happens is that if you need to edit that style for whatever reason, then it edits every single thing in your project that has that same style applied. So it's really helpful and a huge time saver. I highly recommend that you guys use the design tab and the textiles for any changes, besides the master slide, of course. So that's the first thing that I like to do for every project. And then let me move on to what I really have to show you today. So over the last year, I found that a lot of clients are looking for more gamification and they really want to break the rules of what Storyline can do. And that's what I've been trying to do with this project here. So let me show you really quick. This is a game board that the user can navigate using their keyboard to make it feel more like a computer game rather than a click through. This is something that we would use not really as a knowledge understanding thing. It's more part of like if the user already went through all the theory, all the important stuff. This is more like to remember. This is just a game that you would include in your program. So here we have some intro slides. And we have a game board. So using the arrow keys, the user can move through the game. And then when it encourages this action like item and it moves to action item, a question will be displayed. You select your question and you get some points and you can continue to move. And so on. And it moves to the next slide. If it doesn't freeze. Continues. What happens when the user leaves our board? We get a slide indicating that you have abandoned the game board, so you need to return to it. You can also go back to your slide. Sorry, it's taking a while to load.
Angie, that background is beautiful. Did you create that or is that some clip art?
No, this is a clip art. I created this little sample for the webinar, and I am a huge free pick user for backgrounds. They have some really cool stuff for you guys if you ever poke around there. So let's go back to Storyline, and I'm going to show you how it's supposed to work. So I have a character here. And as you can see in the bottom, I have different states for the character. Depending on the rotation of the board, that's the state that we're gonna see of the character. But for the movement first, you go to animation, and let me zoom in here. As you can see, I created 4 motion paths for this character. And let me select, you can select one of them so we can see how it's set up here. This is the up movement. It's set up unlocked and to a relative start point. Why to a relative start point? Because as the user is moving through the slide, wherever you leave your character, it's from where it's going to start moving. If you set it up, if you don't have this thing set up, it's going to always move from the starting point, which will be this place, and that's not something that we want. We want it to move from the last point that we left it.
Angie, what's the purpose of unlocking it? Unlocking it? What does that do?
So I think if you lock it, it's always going to start from this point right here, where it,
Okay.
where it is. So yeah, you set it up like this, and you do the same for each motion pad. You can name it. I do like to name my motion pads in every single thing, every single item in this type of games, because they get really big and they get really complicated with triggers and variables. So naming too is super important. So once you have set up every single motion pad, you can also adjust the duration. For this one, I went for 20 seconds. And I think it works for
Angie, are you saying that the motion paths are cooked into the states?
not into the states. It's in general.
Okay.
It's in the main object. They're not into the states. Does that make sense?
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay. And then whenever, because this is used through the keywords, I have triggers to change the state of the character. So let's say that the character is moving upwards. We want the character to give us its back. So I have created a trigger for the character to switch to that state. So whenever the user presses up, that means the character is going backwards. The state of the character is going to change to back. And it's going to be the same for all the other states. Like if the user presses left on their keyboard, then the character is going to change to the left position here. And then the other thing that you want to do with the character is that whenever it intersects with one of these motion paths, I created this selected state sort of to like add in some glow inside of Storyline itself. And it's one of the effects that Storyline has. I created a glow to create the state effect. So whenever the character intersects with one of these objects, it changes to the selected state. Then finally, the other trigger that we have is that we don't want, by default, when you create an animation, a motion pad, whenever it is said that whenever the timeline starts, the animation starts, but we don't want that. We want this animation to be triggered by the user clicking their arrow keys. So like I said, I created this motion pad. Sorry, I'm not able to see my storyline. I created these motion pads and I named them according to what I want them to do. This one's called left or right. back, and down. So I have a trigger here that says move character along up, which is my motion path, when the user presses up after clicking on this slide. Here, this up refers to your arrow key on the keyboard. Does that make sense? Does anyone
Yeah,
have any questions?
and that really drives home the importance of giving your paths a meaningful name, because if that was motion path 28, be very
Yes, I
confusing.
learned this the hard way. The first game that I had to create, it became so monstrous, and I didn't have naming conventions. So yeah, I recommend naming your objects, especially because I do like to keep them as tight as possible, since there are sometimes many things going on. As you can see, I only have 2 slides on my project because a lot of what's going on, it's going on in layers. So naming objects and naming your paths and your animation, I think it's very key to this.
So
And so-
Angie, did you you have a trigger to go to the next slide when the character moves off screen? Is that how you set it up?
Yes. So then we have whenever it leaves the slide, it jumps to the next slide. Whenever like object leaves the slide here, it's whenever it jumps to this next slide. As you can see, I also have, well, maybe you can, 'cause it's very faint. I created this transparent background, which is just shapes in Storyline, and I set the opacity very, very low, the transparency. And what happens when the character stops intersecting with this path, we get that out of bounds layer that we saw. Why? Because it's very hard. I haven't found a way for Storyline to make the user stay on that path. So the only way that I can do is tricking them by creating this layer that says you're out of bounds.
Please explain again what out of bounds means when the user is not dragging across the path. I don't understand that.
Yeah. So what happens is that we have to stick to this path. But because we have the motion path, the user is really free to move anywhere on the slide as long as it is on the slide. We cannot lock the user to this single path, unfortunately, or at least not in the way I build it. Maybe there's a better way.
So is that done with a hotspot, or how do you know when
Yes.
that the avatar is not on the line?
I don't know if you guys can see it, but I created, I'm gonna up the opacity so you guys can see it.
She created like a zone that if the little guy goes outside of the zone, that layer pops up, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh.
So you know
create
it's there, but the person playing it doesn't know it's there because they can barely see it. So yeah.
I created shapes with Storyline. I grouped them all together. And I created a trigger that when the user stops intersecting with this shape, like,
Oh, so that's not a hotspot, that's a shape, and you
Yeah.
use the intersection to trigger what's happening.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cool.
exactly.
Yeah, that is a nice use of that.
So the way I did it is like this: show layer out of bounds when the object, in this case my character, stops intersecting with the path. And whenever it does that, it shows me this layer. And so this layer is not intrusive to the learner. I created a hide this layer when timeline reaches 3 seconds. So that way the user goes back to the game and they have the opportunity to continue.
Yeah, very nice.
Does anyone else have any questions? I can go on, but I don't want to be overwhelming either.
Yeah, I like how you use that that out of bounds layer. I know when you're trying to keep things on the slide, normally there's a lot of math involved. So because you there's no method in Storyline to tell you where you are on the X and Y. So you actually have to do the math to figure out where you are. So yeah, that was a good trick to make sure that people don't stray from your path. Very well done.
Yes, it's very simple when you're creating. You're like, okay, this makes sense. They just have to follow the path. But I know that users always find a way to defy whatever you're thinking.
So I'm just gonna like try and like digest it. You have 4 motion paths, up, down, east, and west. You have 4 keys operating the little guy going up and down. You have a zone to keep the person, the little guy, going down to each of the little landing spots. Those landing spots are like a button set. That's how you keep them. That's how you use the selected state. Is that what you did there?
No, they're just an image, and I created different states for them.
Okay.
They're not really the only ones that are set as buttons are the ones that pop the
That
questions.
pop up. Okay, right. The ones that light up and are selected.
Yeah.
Okay, that's right. Okay.
Yeah, and
And
for
then
those, what I did, I wanted something different, so I just created an active state that it's a trigger whenever the character approaches. So whenever they land here, the user already knows that the next state is a question, so they can
Okay.
so they prepare for that. Same here, because it's really close to this one. I want the user to have the freedom to move back and forth. So if they decide to go to the next slide and skip that question, they can always go back. So whenever they land again here, this one will light up again to let them know that there's a question there.
That's cool.
And so I think that's pretty much it. I don't know if there are any other questions regarding this game in particular.
I like the use of the guidelines there. I don't use those very often. Now, what are you using to line up on those
In
lines?
the project, I don't think I use them right now for anything.
Oh,
Yeah, no, I don't think this one's mean nothing.
okay. They're just there to eyeball things. All right. Well, if there aren't any more questions, I want to say hi to Alicia. Thank you for joining us. Alicia is going to be our guest presenter in one of these other workshops. So please come back and join us for Alicia. Now, one of the things I want to find out is how to improve and evolve this. So I put together I think I put together a poll here. I'm going to Storyline workshop tool.
Let me go ahead and stop sharing.
Okay, are you seeing a poll now?
Nope.
No. Okay. How do I make this go then? I click that. I have 2 questions. Create.
I think we can relaunch the poll.
Oh yeah, we were trying it out earlier. Okay. Relaunching will clear existing polling results. That's exactly what I want to do. Okay. Are you seeing a poll out there? 2 questions, pretty simple. Is this too basic? Is it too advanced? And was there any value in the click along? If you would be nice enough to answer that.
John, with the click it along, if you had, I don't know if you did tell us in advance, but if you would have told us in advance, then we could have had our storyline all booted up and ready to go. I wasn't aware that we were going to do one, and so it was helpful. It was helpful to do it, but I had to wait for storyline to boot up, so it took a little while. So I was a little behind you.
That is a very good idea. That's kind of sort of built into the description of the workshop, but that's the sort of thing that is so easily either ignored or forgotten. So I will build that into the script. So it looks as if the folks with us this evening think this is a pretty good level to present this, and the click along was helpful. That's good.
I mean, this is Jody. If I could say something, I work by
Please.
myself all the time, so I don't really have a lot of people around me when I get stuck on something. And usually like half the people on this call, I usually try and steal their files if they post them in the Articulate community. So this is like a great level for me because some of the sessions that I take, the storyline sessions are a little too basic, but this was like a really challenging one. So, I'm always, reading Ron's post or looking at Alicia's and, Samuel's, like when I can like download a file and take it apart. That was super, super helpful. And then also like seeing your sample, like I never have done anything, a simulation like that. So, and I wouldn't even try because I just don't think my head would get around it, but just to see how you did it was really, really good.
Oh, good. Next month, I'm going to do a simulation, a little bit more involved, a detailed simulation, so we can talk about that a little bit. And what you just said is exactly what I'm trying to create here. So it's I would rather be able to talk with the person about how did you do that rather than try to reverse engineer what they did. As helpful as that is, but and I am certainly flattered that everybody has chimed in this evening. Is there anything else we can do to attract you back?
Something that I've been playing with, but I haven't done anything with it yet. But because you said simulation reminded me of that. I've been trying to work on these shorts, these short sims, this Clark Aldridge model, these kind of quick rapid fire, do this, go back, do this. Just because I think visually it's cool to look at, and I've been playing with a demo, but I would be interested in if somebody had a good example. I know Tracy Carroll in the e-learning community, she posted one a couple months ago that I found really interesting, and I'm just trying to make my own. It takes me longer sometimes when I need to get inspired to do it, but it's like in my bullpen, my to-do list. But if anyone's got one of those, I would love to see like a really good deep one.
Something else I was going to, as Joe was saying, very often we learn more from mistakes than we do from getting things right. So I was thinking of inviting people who are not as advanced, or even people who are advanced, to come to us with something they're working on, their current project. They hit a challenge. Let's bring it forward, take a look at it, and suggest how to troubleshoot or get past this challenge. Would that be helpful to anyone in the group?
Yes, if I can come with my project and ask for help.
Okay, well, yeah, that was a very impressive game you put together, Angie. So
I know Ron's generous with his feedback, so he'd be really good at that.
good. Okay, Ron.
I think a good candidate for mistakes is always the order of triggers. And I'm sure that like preparing for something like that just come up with different examples of typical. I know when I started, I couldn't figure out why things. I mean, I still can't figure it out half the time. But
I've spent hours on that.
So that's a good topic.
One thing I was. Oh, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, I think there's always value in the community groupthink, especially in a live environment like this. Having people who understand the work, know what's going on, to really bounce off ideas. There's a lot of value to that. So I definitely support that.
Right. I find a lot of value in seeing other people's work, seeing how they do things, because a storyline gets so deep so quick. Once you get past the basics, there are 2, 3, or a number of different ways to do anything. So it's good to see how other people do things. I have found myself doing really convoluted, complicated stuff, and then I look at it for a while, and all I had to do is do this and click that, and then it all happens. So it's good to have other people's opinions and ideas, techniques, tricks and techniques. Any other discussion, or we can leave early? One thing. Yeah.
Oh, sorry. I was just going to mention, John, for next month, I was going to do visual design. One thing I was thinking of was bringing in like the ugliest storyline you've ever seen in your life. And
I have a
after
bunch of those.
yeah,
Yeah,
and
I can
so
contribute too.
all of us sort of just going through it and together making it beautiful, but based on those principles, of course, that we would talk about.
Right. Play spot the problem and suggest the solution. That would be very helpful.
I think it's like called, Can This Course Be Saved?
Mhm. If there is no other discussion, it's a good opportunity to make the point that in training and education are about the only two places I am aware of where people will put down their good money and say, give me the least you possibly can. Because if a class is canceled, or in this case, a workshop ends a few minutes early, nobody complains. Everybody is happy to have another 5 minutes in their lives. So with that said, thank you all for attending, and I will share my screen here to wish you a can you see a good night there?
Yeah, thank you.
I mean that from the bottom of my heart and appreciate your participation.